Man, I feel like shit, so I don't know how amazing this video is going to be. But I wanted to talk about what I was thinking in terms of relationships and certain words. I like to kind of micro focus on a word sometimes and its meaning. And like cynical is something where it's like when you don't believe anybody's being honest, that's cynical. But also cynical can mean like doing the thing um, that you can get away with because nobody believes anything. It's like there's, those are drastically different things, but it's the same word and they're tied together. And so I was thinking of the word try today. And with try, I was, the first thing that came to my mind was like Yoda, do or do not, there is no try. And we like that kind of like tough talk about it and clarifying, like results oriented. Trying is lying is another one I heard from a guy that I applied for a job with him. I heard him say that to his employee. And so we can be kind of like tough and harsh about trying, but I think there's something to be said about that point that we can be fooling ourselves when we say we try. And sometimes you just have to do whatever it takes to make it work. And that might mean working harder, sacrificing, and being serious, and not in denial about, well, I really could have done that. I said, I couldn't get it done. I couldn't study. And I'm like, yeah, you're out with your friends. So that kind of trying thing. Or when, you ask someone to do something that you need from them, or that they could have done themselves, and they say, well, I'll try. And it can feel kind of passive aggressive, as if they're saying, well, you really could have, should have, would have done it for me, but I'll consider it. Maybe I'll do it. So there's lots of meanings, and there can be a lot of connotations, especially in attitudinal things going on. So, but I was thinking of it in a different way. A couple songs came to my mind, and one of them was Taylor Swift's This Is Me Trying. And I don't like Taylor Swift's music per se. Shake It Off was a cute video. But I really like her as a person a lot, and she's obviously absolutely beautiful and great. So big fan of that human being, big time. But when I heard the song at the gym in the massage chair, This Is Me Trying, and it kind of hit me because what she was saying was, you might think that I'm not giving, I'm not working on this, I'm not attempting to be better, I'm not stepping into new territory for me, or I'm not risking or being vulnerable. But this is me trying. This is me extending myself. And I really felt that song. And it's even bringing like tears to my eyes now, like, wow, that was really vulnerable. Like, even if this sucks, this is me trying. Like, that's very vulnerable. This is the best I've got right now. And even if the best I've got, it has some self-deception going on, where we don't see how we could do more or do better, or we absolutely have resistance, or we're addicted to something, or we're addicted to not trying, or any of the things it might be, we're traumatized. So, and the view from that trauma is one of lockdown and shutdown and protecting and hiding and blaming and all sorts of things. So when I heard her say that in that song, I thought, wow, she got me on that. And Shake It Off, similarly, was just like nice, like she's going to try to be impervious to all the negativity. So I'm with her, even though I don't want to like play her music, but I might play This Is Me Trying again today, and see what it does to me on the second listen. So there's that kind of trying, that relationship trying, like I'm really fucked up, and this is me trying. And then I thought of another song of one of my all-time favorites by one of my all-time favorite bands, Rolling Stones' Angie, about Mick Jagger and the time he was dating Angie Bowie and their love affair, and how that was a tragic love affair that didn't work out. And I think I've recorded like my take on that, a review of that song, because it's just absolutely perfect. Yeah, come on, man. And as such, it deserves that treatment. But right now, what he was saying is, ain't it time we said goodbye? And they can't say we never tried. And sometimes I think what they're getting at there is that something's just not in the cards. It might be in the cards in the future or whatever, but they did their best and it didn't work. That's a reality, that this trying this lion thing, do or do not, there is no try, gets wrong or misses or misunderstands or avoids or tries to look past, is that Luke could have failed. It was the trying that was important. And maybe having the attitude of, I can't fail, this has to work, may be good. But it's literally true that we're not 100% in charge of whether we make our sales quota or, make our fitness quotas or spiritual quotas or relationship quotas or whatever it may be. We are not 100% in charge of our destiny and our activities and our success or failure. And again, to restate it might be positive or helpful to act as if we did, so that we do whatever it takes in service of that goal. But that doesn't mean that that's accurate. It just means that that is a helpful attitude, frame of reference. So it's hard to tell, in the situations of our lives, which one we're in. Are we in the one where it wasn't in the cards, or where this is me trying is kind of saying, hey, it's early yet. We're just kind of getting started and we're running into our issues. That's what it sounded like to me with Taylor Swift on that one, is that somebody's saying, hey, I'm actually willing to try. And I feel like that's kind of pertinent for me right now. And so I want to, experience that message for myself as much as I'm putting it in this video, is that sometimes when you're just getting started and you're encountering your same old stuff, then maybe it's time to say, I'm going to really commit myself to trying, instead of making decisions or shutting down or blaming or characterizing things one way or another. And maybe it's just time to step back and say, I'm going to try. I'm going to keep trying. And maybe there'll be fruit in there. Maybe it works. Maybe it's successful. But maybe also, if it's not successful, or doesn't last forever, or doesn't, you still gained and grew and got better at your stuff. So I think that's what I want to say about the try thing, is to consider the truism, and truisms definitely are not always true, that trying is lying, and do or do not, there is no try. No, there definitely is a try. And as long as you're coming at it with the sense of don't let the try be the thing that you use to let yourself off the hook when you try a little bit, and give up. Maybe that's what Taylor Swift is saying in that song, is don't give up on me because I'm trying and I never have before. And maybe that person deserves credit for trying. And maybe that person deserves grace for their faults and their flaws and their hurts and their traumas and their blind spots. And for being rudely awakened from a fantasy where one thought, oh, I'm really past all my old stuff, or I found a person that doesn't elicit my stuff, or that doesn't have much stuff of their own. Yay, I found my one. I don't have to do the work, or this is so easy and simple and straightforward. And then you say, whoa, actually no, we just hadn't gotten to it yet. and that is a rude awakening. That's a tough realization. Getting kind of run into a wall, saying, "Oh, this is right where I left off," and they're right where they left off, and they didn't finish everything and clean up everything because they're living, because they're human and faulty and broken and doing their best and trying the whole time. And maybe the difference in the relationship cannot be merely that there's so much connection or so much attraction or so much positive regard, but that positive regard and those superlatives aren't squandered when trouble comes, when our dark sides come out, when we disappoint each other, when we scare each other, when we abandon each other, when we smother each other, when we misunderstand each other. Any of the things that people do in relationships or in life or in business or in family, the romantic relationship can certainly be the proving ground of lots of life issues. And to expect to find the person where that's all suspended is definitely a fantasy, it appears. And maybe some people have that experience, and maybe it's okay if the reality check comes and you say, "Gosh, I'm here again. Maybe I'll just do a different thing when I'm here again. Maybe this is an opportunity instead of a drag or a bummer or a dead end. Maybe it's just that dead end needs to have a path carved through the dense jungle of trauma and misunderstandings and developmental stalls and misunderstandings and cultural beliefs and all the things that stand in the way of getting to intimacy with self or intimacy with another." So I find it easy for me to look at the Rolling Stones Angie version, and to want to romanticize a relationship that didn't work out or that ended, maybe because I didn't really fully want to try. And then I can say, well, it just wasn't in the cards. But wasn't it great? They can't say we never tried. With no loving in our souls and no money in our coats, you can't say we're satisfied, but they can't say we never tried. So you kind of can maybe pat yourself on the back and each other on the back and say, well, we did our best. And maybe that's true. Maybe they did really try. Maybe they tried their asses off and just couldn't. It wasn't in the cards for whatever reasons, and it wasn't meant to be, or just how things shook out. But I don't want to have that romanticized version anymore, that kind of wistful look back at love, and that ends up being a preoccupation or a distraction from what could be now and what's in the moment, with all of its problems and the kind of full catastrophe living that Zen talks about as I face my financial or health issues or an ailing family member, all the political stuff, all the economic stuff, all the division and my own personal development, spiritual or otherwise. It's easy to get into that fantasy, and the culture is selling us lots of fantasies right now, like pornography, where you can imagine you're with the most attractive person or people that you could think of, and it's kind of like sim sex, and then it wants to sell us like the fantasies on Facebook and other places of how whole and well and beautiful somebody else's life is, and then you can just get stuck in your emails and texts and your kind of superficial relationships, or you can go live in the real world and go act upon your drives and desires and communicate and be vulnerable and have a real life. And I think that typifies what happened to me with the tech stuff. Is just like having a pseudo life without having a screen life and losing myself in that and realizing that there's more going on out here, and that even if I wanted to fully escape, or even if I could fully escape into some screen or some Sims thing, that I'm still subject to what goes on out here, and I don't want to be taken over by it. And I see myself as somewhat or partially taken over by it and very resistant to let go of the tech as I'm talking into this cell phone and wanting to lose myself in something that feels better when it's winter and the political winds have changed and the economy's tough and my problems are all there where I left them. And I wonder if anybody else can kind of relate to all that. And if so, I hope you can give yourself grace. And I hope that you can demand and have a boundary where we give each other grace, where that's the format that love needs to take sometimes, where we say, well, you really are broken. You really are fucked up. So am I. And you get a pass. You don't have to perform or be what I need right now. I just need you to try. Try to see past it. Try to see me through it. And try to not run away when it gets hard. Or at least to try and come back. And I think another piece we can do is we can really shut off. We can really lock down and go away, or we can reject, or we can blame, and do all sorts of things that, cancel, or any number of things that feel like a hard no, where absolute breaking of connection. And that can be temporary and that can be long term, and they're not all the same. Canceling's, way worse than saying, oh my gosh, I'm shut down, I'm traumatized, I gotta go away. But the thing I wonder is, can we go protect ourselves, but not fully disconnect? Can we just keep a little trickle of connection that says, I know you're here, I know you're hurting or feeling something, and I am too, and I don't know what to do, but I'm not slamming the door on you. And the point isn't just to say for the other person, do it for them, because then it'll make their feelings not hurt so much and maybe not make you feel guilty. But at the same time, because if the person is worthy of trust, then keeping that link, that tether, that channel of like love from heart to heart can feed you too. So I tend to think that shutting down really hard is, it's about trauma, and I do it my way. My way's tricky and other people's ways are tricky, but that basically it's probably a child's decision where it came from. Now, some people have been so traumatized as adults, and I'm not saying that it's childish to shut down. I'm merely saying that most of us, if we go back, we probably had a childhood shutdown thing, and that the decision to shut down was kind of very rudimentary, and like, what do I do? I'm panicking. And what do we do when we panic is the turtle goes into his shell. And I think everybody should still be allowed to panic, no problem, but to realize, okay, that's just what I've been doing. I wonder if there's a better way. I wonder if panicking and then sticking my eyes out just a little from the shell and letting everybody know that I'm alive and all that kind of stuff might be a huge step, or might feel like a huge victory. Like, I did it, I did it this way this time, instead of being like, I've got to not shut down. Like, of course we're going to shut down, It's just how we are. When we're hurt, or we feel like we hurt somebody, it's just what we do. So just like, what baby step could we make to feel like we're not just a collection of our patterns and shortcomings, and that we can prove to ourselves, really more than the other person, that we can grow and change. It's difficult, but the little baby step is just proof that the narrative that I can't change and I'm stuck like this and I'll just always be like this and tigers can't change their stripes is false. If we just try a little bit, say, I tried that time, and then we put the lie to that, and then we say, well, I can do anything, and it might just take time or what have you. So maybe that's my message of today. And hope that that insight is helpful to people, and I'd like to take my own advice today on trying.